The pastor says second. That table, which one was easier? Second. Which one was harder? The first one, isn't it? Now, there's a psychological component to that. There's a psychological definition on that. We are products of stories, isn't it? You are a product of a story between your mom and your dad. They met somewhere at a restaurant. If you're in Kenya, Jivanji. And a story began, isn't it? And then you create other stories. We create other stories. And now in those stories, we have also given them a story. Now there's a therapeutic approach in psychology called the narrative therapy. Now narrative therapy says that we are giving narrations, and there are authors that give us stories that we eventually start living those stories. Now the first story you are given is the story that tells you are able to float. The first time you get a child, the first thing you start giving a child a name. The child doesn't call itself a name. By the way, you are a product of stories you didn't author. You didn't choose your father, did you? You didn't choose your mother, did you? But what happens when they meet here and pastor is joining them? They pretend that it's about them. It's not about them. They are creating someone else's story. You choose for your children the father they'll have. So when you can say, he's loving, he's caring, he's nice, it's not about you. You are creating a story for someone else. Then they come in, you give them a story. You author a story for them. And we are the authors of that story. Then we pass it to them. You start writing the story. You write it down. You tell them that now you'll be, first of all, is a name. Now, from today onwards, you'll be called Wajemudi. Now, Wajemudi. Now, I worked in, pastor, you have married from, is it Kirenga Limuru? And I think, yes. So I worked in Gitibia, for a while. Now, Kikuyus, when you're born, you kind of know your name disappears. So when you're going to marry, that's what I saw there. Interesting. As a psychologist, of course, you study behavior and understand what is it how does it impact in their mental health. So you start calling Wajemudi, Wamboi, depending on the father-in-law or the mother-in-law that you're going to have. So your name disappears down the line there, So if you are Florence disappears. You become Wakamau, Wanjoki. And for some reason, psychologically, that has an impact. You may not notice, but it has an impact. So we create for them, we tell them now, this is how Wanjoki should be behaving. We write for them a story. Now, unfortunately, part of these stories have been negative, having negative impact. Because they were authored for you. You are living a script that someone else wrote for you. In what they call, social psychologists, they call socialization. So they socialize you and they socialize us into a certain way of behaving, which eventually sometimes become maladaptive. It creates part of the problems later we come to deal with. Because part of the story we create, authoring that we give, is that we tell you that failure is not part of your life. So wherever you meet failure, you get shocked. And you're like, this is what I was told, it will never be this way. And part of that creates negative impact in your mental health because coping becomes a problem. And some of us adopt negative coping mechanisms. And those negative coping mechanisms, they spiral, they lead us into negative decisions because, we are not isolated. They say human beings are a system. So your decisions are a system. One, it's based on many that go on your mind. So what are we trying to say in my story? Fast forward, when you listen to this story, in psychology say you can re-author the story. You can write your own script. Now, for those of you who read Shakespeare, you remember him saying that the world is a stage and we are all actors on a script. So when you die, you are actually just going out of the stage. That's what Shakespeare says. So it looks at it in terms of a story. It's a story that has been written. So you're just reading your script. Some of us, fortunately, you never write your own script. You'll read a script written by someone else, authored by someone else, read it, perform it, and then move out of this. But now, mental health and this kind of forums, this is the other part of it. We can get out of the story that was written for us. If you are told that things cannot be done or this is how you're going to end, you can write a different story. And when I'm listening to people here talking, I see people who have basically taken that moment to rewrite the story, author their own story, come up with their own script, and write their own script. The people who are standing here, I saw that happening. Psychologically, we are saying that in the storytelling, you need to re-author your story. Because part of the stories we are told are full with negativities. The scripts we are reading. You remember some of us, our experiences have given us very bad negative scripts. And some of them are like, everybody is bad, men are dogs, those kind of things. These people are these. And some of those end up making us, live maladaptive life that is causing us mental issues. And eventually, unfortunately, we affect other people. We are social beings. So if you are a child or if you are a parent, you're likely to pass that over to your kids. If you are in a social, if you go into a working place and you see some people loading you emotions that were not yours, you're like, we didn't from the come now. You make it my story. But some of us pick it because we are also having issues. So when you find someone, wanting to load their issues on you, then it's up to you to say, that's not my story, that's your story. Yeah, because part of it will affect you, then when they load over you, you take it home. We call it projection. So someone brings, and you remember the story where the boss quarrels your husband. He can't quarrel displacement. He can't quarrel the boss. So where does he go? Now, wife, that day, you are used to bringing food that is cooked in a certain way, and for some reason, hizi siku zote hiyo chakula imekuwa tu mzuri. There are people who understand Swahili here. Okay. Yeah, the food has just been okay. I mean, he's been enjoying, but all of a sudden, mbona hii chakula yako iko na chumvi nyingi hivi? So, displacement. Then the mom cannot face the what? So who suffers? The kid. Na mbona mjalala? It's... Then from there, the kids cannot face their mom, and the cat will suffer that day. So, displacement is as a reason of you probably speaking someone else's story that is not yours, and some of it which is... The most important thing that probably I'm imagining I can leave us with is that the first thing is to appreciate that part of the stories that we live, We didn't author them. We are not the script writers. We were not there when it was being created. It's time for us to move to the next part and create our own story. Author our story. Write the script and live the script that we're writing. If we don't do that, then probably you'll be living a story that was written for you, and you leave this world without authoring a story, without writing a script, and possibly that script was defective and it wasn't meant for you, and you go with it. So probably you live with a lot of potential and the things that you could have amazingly achieved. Abraham Maslow says that in everything that you're doing in this world, you're only doing 10%. But if you can do that 10% well, you lived well enough. That means what? Everything you've done, it's only 10% of what you can do. So there's pretty much more that you can be able to achieve in terms of writing your own story. And I believe my story is coming into that platform to give us that opportunity to rewrite the stories, to think about the things, maladaptive scripts that we have lived in the whole of our lives. Because it's possible that you live this world without ever writing a story, authoring a script. You were given a name that was not yours. You were told to be what you didn't want to be. You married people that you are told that this is the right person. We grow up with everything. The right man that you should marry should be A, B, C, D. The right lady that is supposed to get married to you should be A, B, C, D. And you must, this is how we are told. Unfortunately, our African society socializes us that way, that you are born, Simon Makonde way, yeah? You are born Monday. You are born on, Simon Makonde was born on Monday, grew up on Tuesday, married, baptized Wednesday, married on, died on. When was he buried? He should have been buried there in between. Now, you see, we have a story that you have been told that if you don't get married by a certain time, it's a problem. If you don't get a certain level of degree, if you don't go to school to study certain things, because our parents are pretty traditional. There were only certain professions that could give you money. Doctor, lawyer, engineer, and which one else? Yeah, pilot, engineering. So they grilled us. They told us that if you're going to school, else that you should do. If you come back with not less than A, there's a problem. So we were taught competition. So we're always competing for everything, right? Because that's what we were, the script we were given. That's our parents. We understand. They were reading the script according to what they felt was okay. But when you get less than an A, you find so many teenagers who are suffering because the pressure is high. Because they are told that if you don't get in Kenya, we've had that suicidal tendency, and even some of you have read about it, where some of the kids, the pressure that you have given them has led them into dying by suicide. Because we have given them our script. But now, we can't blame them. They say, is it the Bible that say, wakati wa ujinga? Yeah, so that is what they thought was best. But now that you're aware, what is it that is different? Now we are bringing you a new story. I've had this story, but it's possible for you to, with the awareness you have. In counseling, we say awareness is the heart of healing. If you have an awareness, something different. There are people, I think some of us, like she says, you may find probably you think you are the only one going through what you're going through. But in sharing, in talking, you realize that they are pretty, in fact, in the Bible, I might not have swallowed the Bible like Pastor. I'm being careful not to quote the Bible. That's why I'm saying the Bible. Because I can quote and then the pastors are like, okay, wait a minute. So let me, who thought he was the only one? Elijah. And then, of course, he was reminded that there are many others. So we may think that probably we are the only ones going through what we are going through. Because we are quiet. And most of the times, if you don't share these stories, you realize, oh, okay, so there's A, B, C, D, so and so has actually gone through what I've gone through. And they have actually gotten better, right? That's why, as I finish, I want to urge us to support my story. Come out and share your story like Wajemudi has said. You never know, someone else might come out and realize, oh, I'm not by myself. Let's support her. Let's give her all the support we can. If you have a story, come out. If you are living stories that were authored by someone else, we are so bad. I grew up better part of my life in Africa. Probably that is part of the socialization we had. And maybe we are so bad in classically conditioning our other people that we are socializing. And the stories we pass to them, some of it is the one that causes their trouble, mental health issues in a lot of teenagers. So when we can re-author that story and find a healing, and as Pastor says, I come from a perspective, right? That I have religious perspective. I believe there's a religious response to mental health. And of course, there's also the other responses where now you can see a specialist, you can see a counselor within here who can help you. You can also share your story so that many people can get help. I'm so humbled and honored to have been given this opportunity to come and speak to us, especially about mental health and psychological perspectives of what we go through. I believe it's possible for us to achieve healing. It's possible for us to rewrite our stories. And it's possible for us to be better people as we create another generation. Now, may you pass a better script to the people you are authoring the story. Everybody here, when you walked in here, someone looked at you and they already wrote a story about you. If I was to ask 5 people to come here and tell you something they thought about someone here, they will tell you. When you walk in, you're already saying, "Uyo naye anaringa. Uyo naye ako hivi." And by the way, even when you meet in relationships, people tell other stories, isn't it? Because you first meet together and you never tell each other whether you love each other or not. You meet and you look at someone, and the first thing is you are thinking. Then the next thing you are telling them, by the way, the first time I saw you, this is what came into my mind. You wrote a script. And the thing is, you call someone day 1, you call them day 2. They are picking. You call them day 3, they are picking. Day 4, they are picking. Day 5, they don't pick. What do you ask them? Kwa nini ushiki simu yangu? So where did we meet? And we said, every single day, when I call you, pick the phone. Did you meet? Did you write anywhere? But you see, the moment you started saying what? Writing a story. And you want the people to fit into that. That's the story of life. When someone goes against it, you're like, why didn't you pick? Then you start fighting over it. First, some of them will be quiet, watanuna for days, because you didn't pick their calls. That's the way we are as human beings. We are always writing stories for other people. But I want to tell you something that is possible. The story that you write for yourself, the one that you author for yourself, the one that you are able to, the script that you're writing, is possible, can help you to be more healing. In fact, someone says it out there that you be you, the world will adjust. So just write a story. Proceed on within. The world will do what? And I want to leave my story with that. You be you, we will adjust. Thank you.
What do you say to Mr. Dedan? Thank you. Now, Mr. Dedan, there are some people who are asking me, where are you from? Africa? Are you from Uganda? Oh, okay. And something else, they was asking about your contact and how they can reach you out. Thank you. Maybe 1 minute.
Thank you. 1 minute. I'm from Kenya. As I said, Pastor Monene, he knows me from way back. And yeah, from way back. I think I'm always glad watching you preaching. I love it. I come from Kenya. I'm Dedan Ondiege. And I'm married to one wife, legal, and 2 non-children. Yeah, so, and we live in Texas. We live in Texas. How to reach me? You can reach me through email, ondiegededan@gmail.com. You can get my number from Sister My Story. You can get me now. One thing that happens, this is just for the benefit of you. You know, when you realize even counseling psychologists in the US is not like Kenya, where you can counsel someone anywhere. It is state specific, all right? So I might not be able to counsel you, but I can talk to you because you are in Washington state. I'm in Texas state. So unless I'm certified to practice in Washington state, then that will not be possible. But we can talk. And I can give you advice. I can share ideas, and we can give you. I can listen. Now, one of the things that I say I do in life is listening, because listening is part of what we do as counselors. I think other than that, anything else? Yeah? Thank you. Thank you.
So relocate to Washington. How many I said move from Texas and come here? Thank you for your time and thank you for your wisdom. We really appreciate it. Now,
Thank you. Thanks. Malimatika na Kenya.